The Euro 2016 is almost done with its first round of games. And Jason, this is my first point on the Euro 2016. Watching it on the west coast of America in Los Angeles is phenomenal. Wake up, drink. Lunchtime, drink. That's a Beyonce song.
Yeah, it is not a Beyonce song. I don't think. Don't ever discredit Beyonce's beautiful music for something that either T.I. did. Ja'Cory, can we get some help here? Who did the wake up?
No, it's Kendrick
drink?
Lamar.
Is it Kendrick?
Yeah, Kendrick.
It is Kendrick. Yeah, it is Kendrick.
Got it. So I messed up with the Beyonce, but I pulled myself back with the Kendrick. By the way, yeah, so that's what I mean. There's games on when I wake up. I can have a beer and watch a game because that's just normal. And then lunchtime comes, there's another game, and there's a game just before the end of the afternoon. Phenomenal. So in that time, Jason, we have seen some shite games, and then we've seen some pretty good ones. So this is usually what happens. A little background, Jason, on the Euros. I know this is really your first one that you've absorbed truly. Second one, but your first one, I would say, when you're a knowledgeable football analyst.
On the sports panel, yes. At least when it comes to that, yes.
This is stereotypical for a major competition. Teams are feeling each other out. Teams are a little wary to go out and concede goals early on. Teams are going to go in a little bit more, I would say, reluctant to push forward. And you will get games that will be 1-0 decided by a last-minute goal, such as Gerard Piqué for Spain, or you'll get games where a rare team comes out of nowhere, like Hungary today. Jason, what were they?
They were hungry. They were starving, according to your Twitter. It's almost identical to the World Cup. First of all, there's 32 teams that play in any given matches. Most of the matches end 1-0, 1-1, or 0-0. I mean, we did in 2014 World Cup with Ben and Jenk and yourself. We looked up all the numbers, and it's like the most likely outcome for a World Cup match is 1-0.
Yeah.
So the same thing's going to happen with any international team. They just have such little time to get their teams together.
Yeah.
They have little time to change. I was reading all through the BBC Sport. Is it the BBC or just BBC?
BBC.
The BBC. We're going to give it a nice THE to it. And they were mostly discussing, too, that the managers that change up the formations, or start experimenting with different ones are the ones that tend to suffer the most because there's just not enough time. They're not playing together all year round. They're playing together for like 2 weeks, and they're like, okay, go beat another world-class team.
Yeah, it's the same way that with a lot of the criticism that was heaped on France early on, and people are like, oh, they need to make changes. They need to do this and that if they want to win it. They got 3 points. That's the main thing. They don't have to worry too much about adjusting. And the same thing goes with England. I wouldn't adjust their formation. I would just adjust some of the personnel that's in there. Jamie Vardy has to come back in. But we want to get to the main point of this clip, which is the most enjoyable game so far? For me, Belgium versus Italy. Not just enjoyable because you have 2 of the best teams going at each other, right? But surprising for me. You know me, right? I will boast when I am on point with my predictions, and I'll pretend that I never said them when I'm wrong with my predictions. But I will say that I was completely wrong about Italy, right? So I criticised Antonio Conte, soon-to-be Chelsea manager, for his decisions in leaving out Giovinco, a good attacking threat. I know he's not playing in the biggest league in the world, but let's be honest. And Pavoletti, another player who played very well in Serie A. And he brought Pele, who plays with, his name obviously gives a lot of weight to him, but he doesn't live up to that name. Plays with Southampton. Not the best week in, week out goal scorer. But then he comes up clutch with a goal towards the end of the game. And before you know it, Italy beat one of the highest ranked teams who are constantly, and in my opinion, the Freddie Adu of the international stage.
Okay. I was happy you said that.
They beat them 2-0. And Italy very well.
Run graphic number 4.
Run graphic number 4, ski.
And I think I figured out why Belgium gets overrated, and unfairly so. So this is B04, the Belgium-Italy lineups, which I stole from Reddit. And I'm going to keep going until he nails it, so maybe it will seem seamless, but it probably won't.
Probably need to cut this out or make some sort of meme. Oh, there you go.
Nailed it. Thank you, Ja'Cory.
So here's our lineup.
So you look at Belgium and you have a world-class goalkeeper in Courtois. You got potentially the best midfielder in the world in De Bruyne, arguably.
I thought you were going to talk about Fellaini.
Well, Fellaini, who nutmegged somebody in that game, which is truly unbelievable. Vermaelen's not even a bad. I mean, this is a world-class team. Hazard and Lukaku have obviously the ability to put it into the back of the net. So aside from De Bruyne's unbelievable pass that he made to Lukaku, and Lukaku shanked it. Oh, he missed an open shot. You look at Italy's lineup and you go, well, why is it that Italy beat this team? It's pretty simple in my book. That Belgium lineup, that Belgium leadership, zero creativity. Zero. If you watch that game, which I did, they are standing. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is here, but they wait. They wait. they stand and then they kind of punt it forward, and there's no movement. And I know you got to keep moving in this game if you want to score.
So collectively, they have an overwhelming amount of talent, and they rely on the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. But in the middle of the park, they have workhorses. Like Nainggolan is on the brink of potentially a big money move to either Chelsea, Manchester United. He's got the Vidal-esque haircut, and he plays very similar to Vidal in the way that he hunts for possession, and he does well to win it back. The same way with Witsel, the Borussia Dortmund man in there, who's had a phenomenal season. And again, all these individual accolades that are attached to these players, collectively, they don't mesh immediately as well as they should. Now, I'm not counting them out. They got to the round of six. They got to the quarters in the.
But why wouldn't you? So this is completely overreactionary, and I totally understand this. I understand that it's very overreactionary. But this is a team that every single time they release the FIFA World Rankings, they're like number 1 or number 2. Yet they get beaten by number 20 Italy.
Well, that's why it was actually an interesting comment from one of the ESPN commentators who I don't know why they're in France and we're not. But either way, we'll save our.
They actually got their studio protested by somebody recently.
The studio just looks out onto the Champs-Élysées. Champs-Élysées.
Naming my son Champs-Élysées. That's a nice name.
So I'm jealous of them. But they actually made one fair point. It's so amazing how the tables have turned since the previous years of Italy World Cup winners, Spain Euro 2000 and back-to-back whatever champions.
10, 12.
Yeah. Now to the point where the old age seems to be now the underdogs. Italy were undoubtedly the underdogs in this game. Belgium considered the team to watch, the team that are going to be terrifying to play against some of these old guards. And the old guard prevails, which is something that surprised me. Now, you cannot look me in these eyes and say that you understood that Italy, you are so confident that Italy were going to come into this tournament and just blow away one of the top-ranked teams. Because Italy were so poor in the World Cup and lacked creativity, and again relied on the prowess of Balotelli up top.
It was the opposite. They talk tactics and prove tactics.
Yeah, and Antonio Conte, this will be mouth-watering for Chelsea fans because he can make mountains out of molehills simply based on his tactics. He's so defiant in terms of the way that he was being like, 3-5-2? Fuck it. I can play a 3-5. I can play with a team without an out-and-out goal scorer. I can rely on my collectivity in the midfield and the individual talent of some players like Candreva, who's able to put an Eder, who's had a good season, be able to pitch in to contribute to a collective, well-rounded team. And that's exactly what we had there. So if you can look back at that team really quick, Jagori, I wanted to take a quick look and highlight a couple of players in that Italy lineup. So, Jason, what does Buffon, Barzagli, Bonucci, and Chiellini all have?
Do they happen to all be Juventus players,
yes.
Francis?
So that is a chemistry that is. You cannot buy that. You cannot grab that through through meshing a Varane with a world-class defender from a different. I'm just taking names here by the bunch, but you get my gist, right? You can't drag in quality players that play alongside each other in different leagues and expect them to mesh as easily as guys like that do. When you can bring in a full starting 4 that plays exactly the same way that played under Antonio Conte, and you bring them all in. That's going to be a chemistry that you cannot emulate anywhere else in this competition. So they're going to be hard to beat. Expect a lot of clean sheets from Italy. My only worry was that they wouldn't be able to turn it over on the other side of the field, and they wouldn't be able to go in and grab goals. They had a catastrophic record of goal scoring in their last major competition, and I didn't know if they could turn it around, but
we still don't know.
We still. It's a good indicator.
But like you said, I like your point though, because I think you're making the best point here. Is that collectively they don't have an out-and-out goal scorer, as you mentioned, but collectively they can put the ball in the back of the net. If they do that twice a game,
and
they're going to go far. I think it's interesting too that Courtois, by the way, for all the love that Courtois gets, and I understand how great he is, at least at the club level. When it comes to the Belgium level, I think it's been 8 or 9 straight matches that he has conceded more than a goal or 2 goals. It's not a good number for Courtois, although sometimes that's not on just the goalkeeper; it's on the back 4 who's really letting Courtois down.
Yeah, and Buffon, another unsung hero who continues to prevail.
Gigi Buffon, better than Gigi Hadid.
This is the last point I wanted to make you. The year that Italy won the World Cup. Many people will talk about 2006. Many people will talk about how they had individual talent going forward. I told you who the MVP was of that season, who was the world-class player who captured everyone's hearts because he was a little bit older but could still do it.
Pirlo.
It was Cannavaro. Pirlo as well, also, but Cannavaro at the back.
Right.
And that just that emulates what this team is all about. That emphasizes the heart and soul of Italy. They're defensive maestros, And it's surprising that I'm saying that Italy and Belgium was the best game in this tournament so far, because Italy don't always put on the best spectacle. But I got to give the Italians credit, man. They now have just moved completely up in terms of the betting odds, because when Italy can discard a team as favourable as Belgium, a lot of people had Belgium as the dark horses in the World Cup, and some of them weren't completely let down because they got to I would say a decent stage in that competition, and a lot of people had them as favourites to go on and win this. I never did. That's the only thing I will back up, is I never said Belgium could go and win this. I still think that it's going to be between, I said Croatia could go far. So now Italy moved themselves up the ranks in terms of their how favourable they are to go on and far in this competition. It's early doors. All we can do is speculate at the moment, but after seeing all of the teams play throughout, it's the old guards that still are going to be the teams to beat. Germany, Italy, and my dark horse still remains, even though they didn't do it as well as I thought they would have, Croatia. So this was by far away the best game I thought so far in this tournament.
It's only been like one game each, but Luka Modric has the goal of the tournament. I actually
attacked
you yesterday for it, but
I think Payet still has it.
I watched it again.
It's a beautiful technique.
Modric is special.
All right, well, there's plenty more Euro games to come, so make sure not to tune away from TYT Sports. If there's not a recap on the channel, do not panic. Go to our Facebook page, because I'll have the ability to do it wherever I may be. I may be sitting buying a bow tie. Don't know why I'd be sitting doing that, trying on some shoes, or maybe in Vegas because I'm heading out there soon. But I will definitely Facebook Live and give you as much of a game recap as I can conjure up, because I'm watching as many as I can. And I will say, Hungary are the team to beat. Come on, the starving Marvins. They're going all the way. TYT Sports.